Hello and welcome to a new episode of Everstage's Go to Master Show, Season 3. We converse with RevOps and GTM leaders from some of the most successful companies and learn from their unique stories. Joining us today is Vivek Vishal, Senior Director Sales Excellence at PIP Global Safety. Vivek, could you give us a brief introduction about yourself?
Sure. Thanks for having me here. I'm excited and talking about sales excellence and RevOps. At PIP Global Safety, I lead global sales strategy and planning. I'm driving 2.5 billion of PPE portfolio. My mission is twofold. One, drive scalable revenue growth. Two, make sure that the products are available where it's needed, protecting frontline workers across construction, manufacturing, and healthcare. Before this stint, I spent almost a decade at Dell Technologies leading a $40 billion portfolio and growing the portfolio by multiple $1 billion revenue when we integrated together with EMC. Um, and between PIP and Dell, I spent time at Honeywell, where I led the PPE divestiture from Honeywell, and we integrated with PIP. This is kind of a brief journey of the last 10, 12 years, where I have spent most time in the RevOps.
Awesome. So, like with a lot of podcasts, we generally start with a history lesson. So you have led sales excellence and strategy across different companies of different flavors, Dell, Honeywell, and now Global Safety, PIP Global Safety. Like, what are the defining moments that shaped the way you lead today? Like, what were the key pivots in your career that led to where you are and the way you lead today?
Absolutely, and it's a pretty. I'm pretty fortunate to have gone through some unique instances on my in my experience, which has led to how my leadership style actually shaped out. Right, starting with 2016, 2018, between those two periods, we integrated Dell and EMC came together as one company. We acquired EMC for a $67 billion, was the largest tech acquisition at that time, and still I think it's the second largest. Um, I actually brought I was leading the channel, North America channel team at that time, and EMC was kind of almost 100% channel. Um, and as I was leading the channel strategy, integrating the two companies, I learned a lot, right? I also was able to build a lot of predictive analytics modeled, um, machine learning and AI driven capabilities, driving multi-million incremental revenue, and it was a 5,000 plus sales force, right? So I was able to drive productivity of the 5,000 plus people. That was one instance that I would say pretty crucial for my where I am today. The second I would call the Honeywell safety products divestiture, right? So this is a 1.3 billion divestiture that started early last year, and for the next 1.5 years, we worked on due diligence. And Honeywell safety products got carved out of Honeywell and was acquired by RTC Partners, which also owns a portfolio company called PIP, and now we are integrating with PIP. So that whole 1.5 year divestiture was pretty critical as well in my learning, in my career. I built a transition playbook for that divestiture. And I actually leveraged a lot from what I did at Dell in EMC as well, because it was an M&A as well at that time, helped me kind of, save or preserve revenue. When we are divesting, you have to think about a lot of things, how to create legal entities in a company which is standalone and separate from the parent company. How will you reroute the transactions that you were doing with customers, how you're going to make sure that the products are or the supply chain still works in the new standalone kind of an environment, helping making sure that the products are available to the critical industries. The third I would say is leading the integration that I'm driving today with PIP. It's a pretty unique experience, right? When you're combining two different kind of sales organization together, um, making sure there are two go-to markets, but now you're designing one go-to market at the same time. There's like IT infrastructure transitions, and harmonizing the systems and processes while improving the customer experience and product availability. I would say those three things were pretty critical in my career, and that kind of more or less shaped where I am today.
Awesome. Awesome. And would you care to talk a little bit about your leadership style and like where did you get your key insights in terms
Yeah,
of how you
absolutely.
want to lead today?
Yeah, my leadership style is pretty simple. One, it is based on providing clarity. Second, empowerment of the teams, and third, having a very clear purpose, right? Clear playbook, empowered teams, and a mission that you can rally around, right? That's kind of what I practice every day in my leadership style, and that's how I build teams.
Awesome. And, how have you seen RevOps and sales excellence in the broader narrative evolve in the last 5 years? Where do you see the bigger shop opportunities or the biggest changes as well in the entire sales operations, RevOps or sales excellence space in general?
Yeah, interesting. I mean, if you look at the last 5, 6 years, RevOps have changed massively, right? Way back in 2018, 19, 20, most people were using Excel sheets for managing the business, right? Today, RevOps has become the nervous system of this cross-functional, whether you call sales, marketing, customer service, finance, and it is kind of the central glue that brings all the functions together to enable first business growth, but second also making sure that uh, it's the products are getting available to the customers, right? As I look, if I go back at Dell, right, again, I was building an early warning system using machine learning, right? How do you forecast? How do you predict better? Uh, and that was kind of, very native at that time and pretty unique because, wasn't done at many places. We improved our forecasting accuracy by double digits, and this helped not only to optimize our workforce, but also to make sure that the products are available on time at the right places. And that we hit COVID, right, in 2020 and 2023. Between those 2 3 years, availability of computing devices, laptops, computers, servers, storage was of primary importance. We were getting calls from senators and governors from all states here in the US about the product availability or laptop availability in schools and colleges. And because our production or predictive models where we already had worked on that over the last 2 3 years was pretty helpful in kind of making sure that things are available to the users who need them most, right? So schools, colleges, medium businesses. And if you look at the US, medium and small businesses make up half of the US GDP, right? Making
Mm,
sure your products are available to them is very critical. And it really helped out, right? So the RevOps, how it started shaping, is kind of enabling those anomalies and unusual circumstances, right? And then if I just go ahead, looking at the next 5 years, and I see that RevOps is going to scale even a lot more. The AI and agentic AI, especially, right? It's going to enable a lot of operational work. It's going to eliminate a lot of operational repetitive work that we do day to day, so we can get out of doing that repetitive work manually and be more productive in what we do and drive business. Um, for me, for PPE, it makes immense sense because for me, the prime importance is how do we make sure that products are available for worker safety, and driving that RevOps engine in middle of making sure it's available, it's on time, and you can actually predict spikes, right? For example, hurricane hits in the US.
yeah.
Before the hurricane hits, it's not completely unpredictable, right? You can predict that, hey, this is a hurricane season, it's going to hit. You know the coastlines where it hits most, and you make sure your products are available in those areas because it's going to hit and it's going to impact lives. So if I can make my product available in those areas on time and in the right places, I can save lives. That's how important RevOps is. You're saving lives, you're improving human human experience, and that's where I see RevOps playing a big role and how it's scaling and growing. AI isn't replacing RevOps; it's augmenting it. It's
Yeah.
improving it. It's making it even better.
it's making the people who are curious more excited about what's to come rather than actually scaring them. Like I am for one is
Exactly.
super excited about what's coming next.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think shifting focus a little bit to the sales component of sales excellence. Uh, what are you thinking when you're thinking of the sales efficiency and like other stage we are an ICM company. So where do you see sales excellence tying back to sales compensation or just sales commission plans? Like what is your general take on that?
Right. So, as there are two components to that, right? One, designing of the compensation plan for your sales force. Second, administrating that compensation plan for your sales force. And like you said, right, you need a robust platform to make sure, right, that both of those things are ingrained in your platform. Um, when you're designing a sales compensation plan for your sales force, you have to make sure it's simple, but it's also effective that it motivates your sales force. If you can't have a simple plan, if you can't explain that plan to a salesperson in, say, 60 seconds or less, you wouldn't, the plan is not simple, right? And if it's simple enough and the salesperson understand that, hey, this is how I get paid, the person is going to be very motivated to drive growth. And that's how the platform that we are talking about is pretty critical in that. The second part is administering, right? I mean, if there is trust in the platform, if the salesperson thinks, hey, I'm getting paid accurately and I'm getting paid for what I'm doing today, they are motivated. And for that, you need to make sure that there is trust built in the platform and they can see everything. It's very transparent. They can see everything, how they're getting paid. uh, if they have questions, queries, can they follow through those queries, those questions, and get answers, and be able to trust it, right? If they are able to do all that, there is, sky's the limit on how you can build that coordinated, combined infrastructure for the sales team.
Yeah, yeah. But when you think of the contradiction, right? Like new adding new tech stack to especially the adding new tech to the sales stack, especially, right? It's super complicated because adoption is key, and most times if it's not part of the regular workflow for sales, they don't adopt very very easily. So what have you personally used as tricks to make sure it integrates one well with the sales workflow and to improve adoption and actually have the impact that
Right.
it
I
is
mean,
supposed to
see,
have.
yeah, change is always hard, right? When you're talking about adding a tech stack, it's hard. It's tough. Um, but make sure your stakeholders are on board, which means if I'm bringing a tech stack, I'm making sure my seller has a voice. He or she has a seat on the table, and together we are making decisions, right? So when I'm designing a comp plan, I'm always going to involve my seller. When I'm adding a tech stack and bringing a new platform for use, making sure they have eyes and they have ears on that platform and they do voice where they see challenges could emerge. Because you need champions. You need champions to evangelize any change, whether it's addition of a tech stack, change of a comp plan. So I think that's a key on how you can be successful in launching a new platform, adding a new tech stack. Um, and like I said, sales is just one stakeholder. You need to make sure your finance people are on board, your HR people are on board, and they're all connected to this platform. They are all kind of party to making sure the compensation plan or the incentive plan that you're working on is pretty successful.
Yeah. So I think what I hear is two things, right? So one of them is related to so far. Like we have spoken about how compensation needs to be simple, and in terms of strategies to add tech, you're saying bring everyone into the fold so that they have a skin in the game, but they decide are part of they are also part of the decision making. Key, very key, because I've done a few of them, and I find what you said resonate really well, because wherever they have been part of the decision or they have actually got the first insight, it's actually rolled out much more seamlessly. Uh, so maybe shifting back to a higher plane, like how we started off. I was actually curious from what you have done so far. I was curious to understand how you manage different sales strategies within the same org? Like you sell a product that's probably like a recurring revenue kind of a product. You sell something that's like a service based or a consumption based, or like how do you manage sales strategies for distinct products that behave in a very different way with sellers?
Absolutely. Think about this, right? It all starts with customer, right? What is a customer looking for, right? How can you serve the customer better? That's the key to everything. No matter whether you're selling a product, which is a physical product, you're selling a service, or you're just selling a software as a service, or we call it SaaS, right? No matter whether it's a consumption model or whatever that mechanics is, it all starts with the customer. I'll take an example, right? Let's talk about a customer, right? And I'm gonna stay away from my industry, and let's say I'm gonna talk about a car sales, right? So let's say we're gonna go and buy a car as a customer, right? When I'm going to buy a car, yes, I'm buying a car, but then I'm also gonna finance that car, right? Which is a service that I'm buying today. And then I'm also, if I'm buying a Tesla, I'm also buying a software on top of that, which is a full service drive, or FSD, which helps me. So all three has to come together for me to have a good experience. So all three has to come together for a customer to have a really good experience, right? Uh, so that's what the customer wants. Now let's go on the other side, right? As you are kind of serving the customer, you have to make sure that while you're serving, it's one point where the customer is interacting. While they're buying the car, they're talking to one person. Hey, I need the car, but I also need financing and I also need the software as a service. Can you give me all three? And when the customer is talking to one salesperson who's also kind of compensated on all three kind of go to market, so your infrastructure at the back end of how you're kind of motivating the salesperson to drive all three streams of revenue, you have to make sure that they understand one, it's good enough for them and simple enough for them to understand, but they are also getting compensated for all three together. So honestly, for me, whether it's software, service, or a physical product, the kind of function that RevOps play and the way you design it, it's pretty similar. It's just different plan, different metrics on how you measure it. Uh, but the basic principles are pretty similar.
Awesome. That brings us to a close of this really interesting conversation, Vivek. Like we shared offline, we belong to the same alma mater. It's really a pleasure to catch up with someone who we look up to. And thanks for your time so far.
Absolutely, and I'll let your listeners, if wanna, it's a very interesting conversation on how RevOps is playing. I would encourage our listeners to connect with LinkedIn and have more conversations. Right, it's all about sharing. It's all about talking together. It's all about sharing each other's experience and leveraging that. Right, I've been to multiple webinars and panels where I have shared a lot, and people have actually used and leveraged my experience, and vice versa as well, right? I've listened to many people, and hey, how did you do that in that scenario, and came back and kind of tried to do similar things and benefit from the experience. So this podcast, really fortunate, and thanks for inviting me here. It's all about the two-way kind of benefiting each other for people in the same or similar profession. So
Yeah,
no, I
yeah.
appreciate the invite, Venkat, and yeah, let's keep connected and let's keep sharing.
Yeah, I think just to close off the conversation, as a parting shot, do you want to talk about one or two key pieces of advice that you'd like to share with someone who's starting off in RevOps?
Absolutely. I would say three takeaways, right? If you want to kind of simplify this. First, always try to simplify so you can scale, right? Second, RevOps is all about data and AI, right? Leverage as much data and AI, agentic AI, and tools that helps you do your job better. And third, always lead with purpose, right? Your team needs a goal. They need a purpose, and they can all rally around that. I would say those three things are very critical for anyone starting in RevOps and actually becoming a leader over the time. Those would be my three takeaways.
Thank you so much, Vishal. Perfectly clear and supremely well delivered. Thank you so much, Vishal, for joining us today.
Perfect. Thanks, Venkat.
Well, that brings us to the end of this insightful episode of Go To Masters. A big thank you to Vivek for sharing his experience and his valuable insights. Remember, you can tune in every week to learn more from game changers driving hypergrowth companies across the globe. Go To Masters is brought to you by Everstage, your trusted partner for transforming the way businesses handle sales compensation. I'm your host, Venkat, signing off.